Hey y'all. So apparently today is International Day of Friendship. So to honor that, I'm gonna do something that I don't typically do in this space, but that I felt an urge to do. Friendships are so sacred. They are really holy ground. They're some of our most intimate relationships and connections. They can be some of the most fulfilling connections that we have in our life, some of the source of some of our greatest pain as well. And astrologically, we are really in a season of a shuffling up of soul groups. As my friend Jeanette Lewis says, we're meeting a lot of new people. We're establishing some new soul contracts and really strengthening bonds that we already have. And so I had a few questions that I wanted to ask for myself, as this has not been my strong suit. Like, I really have struggled in friendship, if I can be honest. And so I really wanted to know, hey, like, what makes a good friend? How can we be better friends to each other? What's been our biggest struggle in building healthy friendships? And what are some adjustments that we can make right now to improve our friendships? Okay. So I hope you enjoy this. And my struggle, just to share personally, has really just been, I feel like it's more of me being like a neurodivergent person, not being neurotypical, like really not knowing whether or not someone likes me, not being able to tell, not being able to know social cues, being afraid to like really be vulnerable and let my guard down. And so that is something that I'm working on and doing better. I'm surrounded by beautiful people. And I have a lot of great friends who support me. So I don't mean it to say that I don't have any friends. I just think that I've struggled in closer connections. So let's see what we get. And hopefully this helps you. And I hope that it helps me too. So I'm using the Dust to Onyx Tarot by Courtney Alexander. Bottom of the deck right now is the Two of Coins, which is all about finding a balance, a healthy balance, standing in our own authenticity, and literally feeling like these coins as our partnerships and as a dance that we do in life and relationship with each other that build our strength. So overall, Spirit is letting us know that healthy connections are about building yourself up and building the other person up and allowing us to lean on each other when necessary so that we don't fall, to really be holding each other down and being honest about the times that we can't, being honest about when there's too much on our plate, or just how we can be present, how we can support, and not expecting one person to meet all of our needs is what I'm getting immediately. Now, what makes a good friend? We got the Death card and it came in the reverse. And what Spirit is saying here is being vulnerable enough to speak when you feel like things are changing or things are different, but also allowing somebody to change, allowing somebody to transform, allowing somebody to experience their own growth, especially spiritual growth, personal growth, and not holding them captive to the idea of who you thought that they were, who you projected on them they were supposed to be, because that's what keeps energy old and stagnant. People should have the freedom to be able to grow. When we hold it up right, we see that a good friend supports this growth, supports this transformation and transmutation. Instead of this grip or control over what we think a person is supposed to be in our lives. So that's what makes a good friend, right? Somebody who gives you room to grow, who supports your growth. How can we be better friends? We got the Suspension card. In the traditional tarot, this will be the Hangman. The way this is coming through for me, how we can be better friends, is to have grace, to have compassion. I'm gonna get some clarifiers because I want to say something. I'm like, I don't want to say that. That's not really what I'm supposed to say. So let me see. Before I speak it, Spirit, I want to be certain. Princess of Cups and Ace of Swords. Yes. We can be better friends by falling back a little bit. Loving with detachment. This is about having healthy connection, healthy attachments. Honesty, radical vulnerability. We can be better friends by speaking the truth about how we feel when someone we feel like has harmed us, doing the deep work of investigating why we feel what we feel before we speak those things. For me, what I was gonna say, and I didn't know if I should say it, but it was taking the chip off of our shoulder. Of always thinking that somebody's out to harm us. And being honest about what we feel. And it doesn't have to be in the moment. It's coming through that you should definitely give yourself time and space before you immediately try to express how you're feeling in the moment. But you're not supposed to deny or suppress your feelings, because this really feels like intimacy avoidance. And so that's how we can be better friends, is by opening ourselves up. And it feels like our fear here is that if we open ourselves up, we'll be literally crucified or literally be sacrificed and enveloped. How can I best say this, Spirit? Overwhelmed by emotion. But the only way to really develop and cultivate intimacy is through the communication. So we can be better friends by communicating our feelings, but with boundaries. So before we ask somebody to take on all of the things that we're feeling, asking first for permission, respecting people's time, respecting people's space, respecting people's capacity at any given moment. Because I think our struggle here with the suspension card is this all or nothing. That someone has to be your everything, and they don't. That's too much pressure on any one person. And that's been our biggest struggle. So the next thing we're asking is, what's been our biggest struggle in building healthy friendships? Is the 5 of Staffs here. And it's interesting because this is the same card that was at the bottom of the clarifying deck. For me, this is coming through as, yes, you can have a small circle, but you definitely do need more than one person, because we all have different aspects of ourselves and different friends meet different needs that we have. And another thing that's really coming through is a chastisement about being in competition with the people who you want to be close with. This is literally having your guard up, as if someone is a threat to you. So a lot of us are struggling to build healthy friendships because we are subconsciously, or we know it, maybe we don't want to speak to it, but we see, instead of being inspired by other people, instead of seeing our friends as support, we're secretly like looking at them and not even wanting what they have, just feeling like we're not in the place we want to be. And instead of seeing them as a support, a stair step, people that we can grow with, we're seeing them as obstacles. So they're just there holding space or holding a place in our life. They're placeholders, and there's no real sharing. There's no real connection happening. They're just placeholders. And that's been our struggle, is we might just be filling our roster, right, with people who we're either impressed by, or filling our roster with people who on the surface we have in common with, but really there's actually conflict there. So let me get a little bit more guidance there. That's a drag. The Fool. Bottom of the deck is the mystery card. We have to do things in a different way. Completely different way. Friendship is supposed to be liberatory. It's supposed to be a place of safety and security. It's supposed to be our chosen family, right? But we have our guard up, especially if we come from a history of trauma. And so we have to learn new skills, particularly as it relates to communication and intimacy, as we're meeting new people now. And so what are some adjustments we can make right now to improve our friendships? I got the Four of Gourds. And this is about honoring where we're not getting our needs met in friendship, or where we feel this is a difficult one, where we feel like we're spilling into the void. We're spilling all of our affection, or spilling all of our emotion into a place that can't really hold what we're offering and what we're giving. There is no support. Potentially there is no reciprocity. And alternatively, there are people who are in our lives ready and willing to engage with us on the levels that we're seeking, but we are focused on people who don't have the capacity to be that source of love and support. So not focusing on those who don't want to be in community with us, but rather focusing on those that do. Okay. And that's it. Five of Cups, the universe here. Five of Cups is about grieving, moving on from the Four, being stuck in those emotions, and moving on to the Five of letting go and grieving the connections that are no longer serving us, so that we can open the door to the vast potential of relationships that God wants to bring into our lives at this time. So I hope that's been helpful. I love you. Again, like I said, I don't usually post content like this here, but if you want more of that, you can go to the overflow and I'll tag it in the description. Okay. All right. Happy International Day of Friendship.